Okay guys, good evening. Let's welcome back to our video. In today's class, let's discuss about the respiration. So, before from 3 to 4 classes also, we are also discussing about the respiration. But in today's class, we are going to learn about the respiration in not only the human beings and also how it is occurred in the other organisms. For example, till now we have discussed this is about humans. So in humans, it is a aerobic respiration. The aerobic respiration which is occurred by the help of nose. And apart from that, we have also completed about the anaerobic respiration. These are the topics which we have discussed till now. So anaerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration is nothing but here. This is a respiration which is occurred in the absence of oxygen. So this is a respiration which is occurred during the absence of respiration. This is considered as the anaerobic respiration. Whereas in this presence of oxygen, the respiration which is occurred in the presence of oxygen. Apart from that, today let's going to learn about the some more organisms. That is like, for example, cockroach. If you take cockroach, the respiration in cockroaches occurred through the trachea. So it is occurred to the trachea. So by this only we call this as a tracheal respiration. We call it as a tracheal respiration. Tracheal respiration. Whereas in human beings we are calling it as a pulmonary respiration. In humans we call it as a pulmonary because the respiration is occurred by the lungs. So that only we call it as a pulmonary respiration. But in cockroach we call it as a tracheal respiration. Whereas if we come to fish, it is called as occurred to the gills and it is called as branchial respiration. So bronchial respiration. And if you take frog as an example, this has two types. If it is in water, then it occurs through the gills. If it is in land, then here it is occurred through the lungs. Sorry, it does not have gills. It will be having the occurred through the moist skin. Okay. Next, if you come to lower organisms, some may also occur through the oral. Okay, orally. So these are the types how the respiration is occurred. In cockroach, it is occurred to the trachea, so that we call it as a tracheal respiration. And if it is occurred in the fish, that is called as gills. And then this is considered as a bronchial respiration. And next thing which is occurred in the frog, that is if it is as the frog is amphibian. As the frog is the amphibian, it is occurred in water. If it occurs in water, then we consider it as skin. If it is in land, then we call it for lungs. And next, it is occurred in the lower organisms. In some lower organisms, lower level of organisms, it is also occurred through the orally. In this, we can describe. See, here they have mentioned that if the tracheal respiration system in insects like cockroach, grasshopper is occurred through by the help of trachea, so that only here we are calling it as a tracheal respiration. So that we are calling this as a tracheal respiration. Tracheal respiration. And apart from this tracheal respiration, another thing is there are some aquatic animals like fish or that have developed specialized organs known as gills. So that only we are calling this as the bronchial respiration, as I have mentioned in the previous notes. And then after, another thing which is present in the amphibian is also cutaneous. Cutaneous is nothing but here, once you listen. So cutaneous. Here, the cutaneous respiration means the respiration which is occurred by the help of skin. Cutaneous respiration means it is occurred by the help of skin. In which organism you can observe is in frog you can observe, but not always you can observe in the frog. When the frog is present in the water, at that time you can observe in this. Whereas if the frog is present on the land, as the frog is amphibian, if the frog is present on the land, then the respiration occurred is normally pulmonary respiration. So Pulmonory. So pulmonary respiration. This is about the type of respiration in lower organisms. Apart from lower organisms, we have another topic of respiration in plants. So here, let me write about frog. So in frog there are two types. If it is on the land, then pulmonary respiration is occurred. If it is on the land, then pulmonary. But whereas if it is in water, then the respiration occurred is the cutaneous. It is called as cutaneous. Cutaneous is nothing but here the respiration which is occurring by the help of skin. So this is about the types of organisms, how the respiration process occurred. And apart from all this, we have the another type of respiration, that is in respiration in plants. So that is about the respiration in plants. How the plants is respired. The main thing is, if you come to human beings, humans intake oxygen whereas they release carbon dioxide. It is completely opposite in the plants. For example, if you take the plants, they intake the carbon dioxide whereas they release the oxygen. So this is about the difference between both plants and human beings. Not only the human beings, all living organisms. And moreover, how the intake of oxygen is occurred in humans is by help of nose, nasal cavity, then after pharynx, larynx. This is about the same pathway and the same story repeats again. When you come to the plant, here, as this is a new topic, let's discuss about how this respiration is occurred in the plant. Actually, the plant has a specialized part called as stomata. So the plant has a specialized parts called as stomata. And what is the structure of stomata means here? It will be guard-like structure, and also it is covered by the outer layers in situ. These are called as epidermal cells. Let me label it. So the inner two cells present are called as guard cells. The guard cells are dumbbell-like structure. These are bean-like structure. These are bean-like structure, whereas this is in dicot plants. If you come to monocot plants, the structure will be dumbbell-like structure. Okay, the upper layer, these are present are called as epidermal cells. These are called as epidermal cells. So this is about the guard cells, and outer cells are called as epidermal cells. Now the guard cells are covered by the epidermal cells. This total is considered as the stomata. Okay, how the intake and exhale and removing of gas is occurred in plants is, if for example now carbon dioxide is entering into the stomata, then oxygen is released out from stomata. This is the process occurred, that is opening and closing of stomata. Opening and closing of stomata. Opening and closing of the stomata. So this is of the opening and closing of stomata, and this is one way of respiration which is occurred in plant. There is still two more types of respiration. That is about the lenticels. What is meant by lenticels means here you can observe. See, this is about the stomata which I have explained here already for you. As the stomata will be present down, it helps in the intake and releasing of gas. If it intakes the carbon dioxide, it releases the oxygen, O2. But this is about the lenticels. Lenticels means here, these are the cells which are present outside the or external part of the stem. Here the breakage of the stem or any part will be observed. For example, how the process which is occurred by the lenticels on the stem is considered as the lenticular respiration. So we call it as a lenticular respiration. So here we can write another thing as the lenticular respiration. So lenticular respiration. Lenticular respiration. Lenticular respiration is nothing but it is occurred in the stem by lenticels. It is occurred in the stem by the lenticels. So that only here we are calling it as the lenticular respiration. Whereas the respiration which is occurred by the stomata is considered as the stomatal respiration. It is considered as the stomatal respiration. This is considered as the stomatal respiration. These are the types which is occurred in the plant. Apart from that, next we have it is about the aeration of roots. If we come to the aeration of roots, let me write here. Actually, we will be having a variety type of roots considered called as pneumatophores. Pneumatophores. If the plants gets lack of oxygen, for example, if the plant is having less oxygen and it cannot take breath, then what happens means that if, for example, see now if you consider one area, area consider cheyandi. If it is fully dirty and if it is filled with mud and water, so if the mud and water gets combined, then there will be no chance of entry of oxygen, because on the polluted water there will be no gap or space for the oxygen to get entry inside the water. Now if the oxygen is not entering into the water, for example, you can consider this as a mangroves. For pneumatophores you can take it as mangroves. Okay, for pneumatophores you can consider this as the mangroves. 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 What happens in mangroves and marshy areas? So this marshy areas is nothing but waterlogged areas. For example, if you go to any Koringa Wildlife Sanctuary is one of the best example. This Koringa Wildlife Sanctuary is located in Kakinada. Here what has happened means the total mud and water will be logged in this. Logged is nothing but they are completely locked and there is no entry of oxygen inside the earth. Now what happened is, if the roots want oxygen or air, then the roots gets arise from the ground and the ground nunchi it grows away from the ground into air. These are called as aerial roots. Aerial roots means the roots coming upward into the air for the sake of exchange of gases or for the respiration process. Why the respiration process is occurring outside the earth is nothing but these roots which are fixed inside the earth is not getting oxygen or the carbon dioxide, because it is due to the water logged. Okay, it is due to the water logged. Here what is the condition applied is, for example, see oka buddha teeskondi ikkada emoutunante, is there any entry of if you take polluted water, there will be no entry of oxygen or any gas into it, because it is completely locked, so that there will be no gas entered into it. That is the only same case which you can observe here. See here which you are observing, these are the brown color things which you are observing here are the pneumatophores. These are called as aerial roots and also called as pneumatophores. Aerial roots and also called as pneumatophores. So where you people can observe this clearly is nothing but marshy areas. In marshy areas, you can observe this mainly. Okay, here also they have mentioned the same thing. They adapt to the waterlogged adapt conditions. And after the completion of that, next we have is the one of the activity and two. So if we complete these two activities, then it completes our chapter. So these two activities are, the first activity is to prove that the plants release carbon dioxide. The first activity is to prove that plants release the carbon dioxide. So here, evolved CO2 during respiration. During respiration. Okay, here they are proving this evolved CO2 in respiration. How we can prove means, first of all, let us take a beaker. Now in this beaker, I am placing the another small beaker, whereas the small beaker consists of a lime water. This is the lime water. So the yellow color thing is the lime water. This is the main key role of lime water, which we are discussing from the first onwards only, because the lime water is mainly important for the reaction to get with CO2. Now I have placed lime water. Apart from this, I am also placing the seeds. So I am also placing some seeds or any grams. So let us consider this as the grams. These are P. Now if I leave this container for 15 to 20 minutes, leave container for 15 to 20 minutes, then the change what we can observe is the lime water gets reacted with carbon dioxide. After the reaction, it forms the milky white precipitate. It forms the milky white PPT. It is nothing but precipitate. So it is simple experiment. For this experiment, we people just need the a 100 ml beaker and also a small 40 to 50 ml beaker. So apart from these two beakers, we also need the sprouted seeds. So we can also call this piece as the sprouted seeds. So the sprouted seeds. Now if I leave this sprouted seeds along with the lime water in beaker by closing this cap, what happened is after 30 minutes or 20 to 30 minutes, you can observe the lime water gets turning into milky white precipitate. It is due to the lime water has capacity to react with carbon dioxide, because lime water has capacity to react only with the carbon dioxide, whereas it does not get reacted with the oxygen. This is the only simple experiment they have displayed here. So in this experiment, they have taken one beaker and also it consists of sprouted seeds, beaker with lime water. After this complete setup, if they leave for 15 to 20 minutes or half an hour also, you can observe the color change. It is due to the milky white precipitate. And the last experiment is, in this experiment, we proved that evolved CO2 during respiration. Whereas, sorry, in this experiment, we are going to prove that heat is evolved during respiration. Heat is evolved during respiration. So what happened in this case is here, first in the same way, let us take a beaker. Now place same sprouted seeds or the germinating seeds, anything, whichever you want. So after the placing of the sprouted seeds, these are sprouted seeds. Now along with sprouted seeds, I am also inserting the one thermometer, inside the beaker. Now I have completely covered with the rubber cork. The rubber cork consists of a small hole which is required to insert the thermometer. Now by keeping this setup 30 minutes aside, then after that later I can observe rise in temperature. How you can observe the rise in temperature? Here gets the doubt. So how we can observe the rise in temperature is, first let me take here readings. Initial is nothing but first reading. So when I am taking the reading here first, the mercury level is up to only here. This is the first level of reading. Let me consider this as some 55 degrees. But after the leaving this setup for 30 minutes aside, I have taken the final reading here, that is the second reading. At second reading, here I got it is the some 76 degrees. So if you minus 76 from 55 from 76, then you can observe that 21 degrees has risen in the temperature. So the temperature is nothing but here, it is used to measure the heat. Temperature is used to measure the heat. So temperature is used to measure the heat. The temperature is observed in thermometer. The temperature is observed in the thermometer. This is the device. Thermometer is a device. This is the experiment. This completes our chapter. So this is the total chapter from the respiration. So if you revise the chapter from respiration first, the main things you have to remember, it is about the what are the steps and events occurred in the respiration. That is the first thing. It is about it starts at breathing, then it enters into gaseous exchange at the lungs level. After lungs level, once at lungs level, the gaseous exchange occurred from alveoli to the blood. As the oxygen reaches the blood, it has to also reach the target organs through blood only. So that only now the gas transport by blood is occurred. After that, by blood, now the blood is reached certain organs. Target tissues or target tissue level is nothing but here organ, because a group of cells form a tissue and a group of tissue form a organ. Now tissue level is nothing but it also goes to the reaching of particular organ. After the completion of reaching organ, it forms the cellular respiration. In the process of cellular respiration, the energy formation is occurred. And after the formation of energy, now for the respiration, how it is occurred in human being breathing, there is a one experiment mainly at the starting of the chapter. This experiment is that here they are mentioning mainly when the lime water gets reacted with carbon dioxide, it forms the milky white precipitate. Because this is the whole and very important whole heart of the chapter. Wherever in experiment of the respiration, if you take, it forms the milky. The questions also same, they have repeated again. And apart from the completion of that experiment, here there will be the pathway. The pathway is nothing but this is the description how, for example, the human, if they breathe in the gas, first it enters into the nose, and from nose to it moves to the nasal cavity to the pharynx to larynx, and then after larynx to, here there will be the presence of bronchi, and bronchi to bronchioles to the finally alveoli. From alveoli, then again it reaches lung, and from lungs to now it has entered the surrounding blood. So again from alveoli to it enters into the blood. So this is the pathway they have mentioned: nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, bronchioles, alveolus. And alveolus can be also called as here alveolar sacs, because this alveoli has the appearance of sac-like structure. So this is called as alveolar sac. This is called as alveolar sac or alveoli. And next, apart from that, the next thing which you have, it is about the function of epiglottis. Here, if you people are taking the food, during the intake of food, it covers the windpipe, so that the food will be not entered into the windpipe. Whereas if you are inhaling the gas, then the epiglottis covers the food pipe, so that the prevention of air into food pipe is stopped. So obviously, if the food pipe is closed, then there is the only chance of entry of air into windpipe. Okay, that is the simultaneously work of epiglottis. This is about the function of epiglottis. So this is about the function of epiglottis. This epiglottis is a muscular flap-like structure. This is the muscular flap-like structure. So this is the muscular flap-like structure. And next thing which have, it is about the mechanism of respiration and breathing. This is about the inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation is nothing but intake of the gas, and whereas exhalation is nothing but expiration of the gas. During the intake of gas here, the thing occurred is the rise in diaphragm. So our diaphragm gets contracted and it moves upward, whereas during the expiration, the diaphragm which acts as the floor of the chest cavity will be getting relaxed, and also it gets to the normal shape. Whereas during inspiration, it forms a dome shape. And the next thing, it is about the exchange of gases at alveoli level. After the completion of that, this is the main reactions the people has to remember, that is formation of oxyhemoglobin. Hb plus O2, HbO2 means it is oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin means HbO2. HbO2. When the hemoglobin gets combined with the oxygen, it leads to the formation of oxyhemoglobin. Next, this is about the cellular respiration gases section. And this is mitochondria. This mitochondria is also called as powerhouse of the cell. This is also called as powerhouse of the cell, as I have discussed in the previous classes, but just I am giving a brief. And here, moreover, we have another thing, that is anaerobic respiration means absence of oxygen. So anaerobic means absence, aerobic means presence of oxygen. After completion of that, they have given about the athlete, which is about strenuous exercise. This is mainly due to the lactic acid. The lactic acid formation is occurred only during the exercise times in muscle. Lactic acid formation is seen in muscle. Where you can observe is, this can be observed in the muscle. And then after, let us enter into the experiment. This experiment is to prove that thermometer means rise in temperature. Whereas here you can observe the lime water reaction. And then after, same here also it forms again, that lime water reacts with carbon dioxide. Apart from that, we have about as today's class only we have discussed in this video, respiration in plants, how it is occurred. After the respiration of plants, aeration of roots. Aeration of roots means, here you can also call this as the aerial roots. The formation of roots appear of roots in air is called as the aeration of roots. And moreover, evolved CO2 in respiration. And finally, it is about the heat evolved also during respiration. After that, if you compare both photosynthesis and respiration, the difference we can observe is the plants carry out photosynthesis, which means that they produce their own food from atmospheric carbon dioxide using sunlight from the sun. And this process is a complex series of steps involving the conversion of light into chemical energy. Mainly, the photosynthesis means here light energy is converted into chemical energy. So in photosynthesis, light energy is converted into chemical energy, whereas which is then used to synthesize sugar from carbon dioxide. This is a process of synthesis or anabolic process. But if you come to the respiration, release of energy is occurred. In respiration, release of energy is occurred. Release of energy. Okay. And next, once produced, the sugars are helpful for the formation of all to run all life processes. So this completes our chapter.